Was there blood on the floor and shit like that?
Yeah, it was like, but
Just
it was
moody
like
stuff.
50 years old, the blood. So you'd like go around and you'd like, it's the type of place that, you know, if you was into like, if you was scared of horror movies, it wouldn't really be for you.
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Instagram UK Frontline.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Big shout to our friends Graffiti Kings. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa Kela podcast, serves you right, coming to you live and direct from central London, or as central as you need to be. This is a subscription-based business, so do not sleep, I repeat, do not sleep on my repeat. Get subscribing, sharing and all that love and all that good stuff. We are inside the ride, and it's by popular demand, man. You've been highly noted on the comments of get teaching. So, without further ado,
Finally.
allow me to introduce to you DDS finest, the mighty motherfucking Teach inside the building. What are you saying?
All good, man, all good.
You been staying out of trouble?
Yeah, always. I'm never in trouble anymore.
What's been happening, G? What's been going on?
No, you know, just getting on with life, working, you know, getting along with things.
Getting
you know?
along with it, yeah. It's funny, isn't it, that you get a rhythm of what you're at and what you're doing, and you know, I mean, judging by the wrinkles upon this PC, I mean, you're an age.
I should get some, you know, I should go and get some Dove or something. What is
Yeah,
it?
some Dove.
Some Dove, yeah.
Some Dove and some Timothy.
Yeah.
Some hot get up there you got there, brothers. We ain't going to be burning you for too long on this one. Let's get deep into the archives if we can. Now, I know this is like a lot of reciting and memory for you, but we are. This is what the people have asked for, so we are going to have to jump straight into
I
it.
remember.
Let's start from the beginning. A young Teach. Did you always write Teach?
No one ever writes the one thing they get famous for. It's just a couple of different things. I had several tags like everyone.
Yeah. What were the first initial ones that you kind of cut your chops with?
Can't really say my first one because it's literally like my name.
Nice. So Henry, we'll say Henry, yeah?
Yeah, no, I remember like I was writing fire for a while, and I was writing it different ways, like the normal way, and then FIA, and then PHIRE, getting up, basically just bombing, and yeah, I remember one time like I bombed up this brand new building that hadn't been finished, and then the next day all the work people came over to me and was asking me questions, but just asking me to kind of look out for kids. But I kind of felt a little bit hot that it was me. So I just thought, let me change. But that was like one of the first times.
Really?
You know?
Someone's doing that round here? How terrible. That kind of thing.
No, I was from a pretty mashed up estate, so.
Right, okay.
But yeah.
How old are you that time?
Secondary school times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like you know about Graff, but you don't really know about it, you know?
Yeah.
You just know of the myth of Graff, or the people that obviously don't. You've just seen their names, but you don't really know who they are. Yeah,
there is a mythology, isn't there?
Yeah,
about
but
that,
when you start doing it, then all of a sudden there's the little things that start to come up, like, oh, what happens when this happens? And then you go, oh, I don't know, you know, like so. I just thought, just in case I get into trouble, like so. I think from then I just switched and I wrote something else.
Isn't it mad, like the way that the mind works? It's like, when you start something, you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to, you know, you kind of work out the mistakes, you adjust to fit, and it's just your pure tenacity that drives you to keep going. That's like some of the best creative responses you can actually have, isn't it? Just constantly doing it and just not stopping. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I see kids these days and they're doing tags and they're getting caught and they carry on doing it and everyone knows who they are and they still do it. So, I don't know. It's whatever works for you, really.
Yeah.
The way I feel about Graff is, and this is just my personal opinion, is that it's something that I don't want to be known for.
Yeah. In terms of your identity, it's
it's nothing to do with who I am. It's just it's just what it means to me. When I see something, I don't want there to be something that goes along with it. It's just that's what it is.
I love that.
So you see the tag, you see the piece or the dub, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's how I want it to remain.
Yeah.
When I started bombing and we started doing insides and then we started to get bigger and bigger, I still would never tag in front of people. It wasn't something that I felt comfortable with.
Even crew.
No, crew's fine,
Crew,
but it's like it's not that. I'm not scared that person's undercover, or I just don't want a normal person seeing me do it because it's not. And then I'm with people that just move people out of the way and tag.
Yeah.
And it's not part of who I am.
Not the way you like to operate.
Yeah, I mean, I like to move in silence and just kind of do my thing and disappear.
Yeah,
you know, and that's why like sometimes it's difficult when you're painting with some people that you share something with, but you don't share the same respect for being quiet or not being seen or respecting the other person's feelings.
Yeah.
Like some people, when you paint, they're really noisy and they're really loud, that they don't care, and they talk really loud when you don't really need to be like that.
Does that make you jittery yourself when people operate in certain ways around you and you're like, well, I'm definitely not going to be working with these guys no more because they're fucking hype.
Mean, you know, when you first go and you're going on your own or you're going with one other person, you're both relying on each other's instincts to kind of figure out if this is safe. When you start painting with other people that are like maybe known for other things, then they don't share that same thing that you have, so sometimes it makes it a bit difficult. And then there's like kind of like a weird vibe. There's a lot of times where there's been like heated things happening whilst we're painting.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole thing about respect and stuff, you know.
Because everything gets hotted up pretty quickly, I guess, doesn't it? Or it did back then.
I mean, it's not that. I mean, I like to remain calm the whole time I'm painting, you know, because when we were younger and there was loads of us, you could see we were all frightened.
Yeah.
We're all painting with a lot of adrenaline going through.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just when you get to that point and then you're really relaxed. And that's when you feel like you're actually really getting into it, and then you're starting to paint a bit relaxed.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that like a level of zen? Like, would you say that was like your?
Yeah, I guess it can happen.
Be right back.
This is the sound of the Killa Kela Beatbox Body Part Sample Pack. Over 120 loops, samples, and one-shots for your music production. Exclusively on Splice.
Here we go again.
I mean, this is all in retrospect because in past tense, when I think back to me growing up and seeing your stuff in magazines and XYZ places that, where you use your outlets, bro, like some of the most iconic top to bottoms on Transit were from you, bro, like some of the most amazing pieces. And it's the collaborations you used to do as well, full-on productions, you know what I mean? Like insane levels. Like, how old were you when at that golden era of maybe like the mid-90s? What
Teens.
Bare teens, really, yeah.
Teens.
Was it a different kind of state of play back then in terms of not just collaborating with people, but like, just the
I think there was more in them times. When you're younger, there's a lot more to prove to yourself. So you're usually doing something that's always kind of a little bit beyond what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Like now, I wouldn't bother thinking about things like that because it's like, it's a lot to kind of build up for. So whilst you're like, like there's things that you've seen before, like you've seen whole cars by certain people and you've seen certain panels by certain people, certain wild styles, and those things inspire you to be like, I've got to do my kind of version of that. Yeah. Or I can't just keep doing these dubs, because that's what I was doing for a long time. I was just doing dubs on trains and like a 2-colour fade. And I knew that at some point I got to start doing some better things, especially if I want to start painting with people that usually don't really deserve to paint with.
What took your time
you know?
in developing that? Why was there a kind
I
of
think
hold
graph's
on that?
really different now than when I was painting. There was not really much. There wasn't really much out there other than old school photographs.
Yeah.
Maybe if you was lucky, every year or maybe twice a year, there was a weird zine that come out in like Tower Records, and it had like maybe half of it was black and white, and it had pictures from the 70s, a couple from the 80s, you know, and then a couple of new pictures from the 90s, but there wasn't really much. And another thing is that it was too bait to bite anyone, you know, even like you could maybe bite a bit of a colour scheme, or like, the red outline with the pink 3D. But that was about it, because people would just be on you and they'd be like, well, that's my man's piece.
Yeah.
And you just have to either admit it or just be like, you ain't original.
Integrity is everything.
You know?
At that
And so,
time,
like, now, that's gone out of the window. That don't even exist. You can do whatever you want and it's yours. So
What's your feelings on that?
that's why, like, it took me a long time. It took me, like, more than a year and a half to drop shadow on a dub, because I didn't know how to do it.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't. And then I even remember I was doing a piece with Fuel, and I knew how to prove myself, because to paint with Fuel is
It's
like,
a highlight, yeah.
yeah, isn't, you can't be like you know, like, you can't be like doing some toy thing next to someone like that. And I hadn't really done shadow before, so I started to drop my shadow, and just on the left side, it didn't look good. I didn't feel comfortable with it. So if you look at our piece, I've got a little bit of shadow on one bit of the letter, and then I've left it. And I've got like a no smoking half car with just outline, no shadow. And that was, you know. But I mean, I think I raised the bar when I did that piece with him.
There was a lot of bar raising in the mid 90s, early 90s, where I mean, you and Rate, well, for me anyway, as for the age I am, that was you two was a combination. Was just like that was an insane period. Again, that was your teens, right?
Yeah, we went hard.
You
together.
went hard, and
we went hard together. I mean, I think.
How long was that for? How long was that period for?
That was for a while. The Rate Teach thing went for a while, but
yeah.
I mean, I think the one thing that we shared was the fact that it was slightly not as serious, the stuff we used to do. When I used to go and do yards and stuff, and it was like, okay, we're doing end to ends and all that. But when I used to paint with Rate, we would it would be like, we're gonna drop like around 15 dubs tonight. And then we do about 3 Rate Teachers. Most of the times he'll do them, and then I'll do one, and then
15 fucking dubs. That's insane.
Yeah, but it was just.
Or was that just an all-nighter? That's standard.
It's just all-nighters. That's what we used to do, and there was a few people that used to do it, but not many. Like now, no one would do an all-nighter and just walk tracks and just walk through 3 stations and do like, you know, at least 3-4 dubs in between each station.
Yeah.
We did that for a long time. And we used to just get jokes. We used to like buy a box of 10 cigarettes, twos each other up throughout the night. Never drank alcohol.
No alcohol, no?
Yeah, if we was lucky, we'd have had a little draw. But yeah, and then people used to come and that, and you know, there was always jokes going on. There would always be something amusing. Never having money, bunking the train, racking sandwiches in the morning. You know, waking up somewhere like Pinner. Or Rayners Lane on a bench somewhere.
Oh, so you just sleep out? You'd sleep out sometimes?
Well, it's all-nighter. We can't get home. We've got to wait for the first train.
Yeah.
So, we'd run out of paint. It would get late. Sometimes, I remember one time, we slept in a trackie shed. It's a famous one. It's the one that Cast had something on the Big Met. And it was like, we'd just find places to sleep and that.
Seems to me like that era, that time, there was this very invite-only underworld, and I remember us having a conversation about the fabric period where there was that kind of underground area before it turned into fabric.
Yeah.
And I brought it up with Zom as well, and you know, he was like, yeah, man, this was like the glory spot. Was all this happening during that period or before that period?
No, this is after.
After,
You know,
right?
because me and Rate was smashing the tracks, and then obviously there was the yard thing going on, but the track thing is something that we was always into because you could do so much. You go racking, you maybe go to 3 spots, bunk the train, wherever. He'll tell you it was always South London somewhere. Like Denmark Hill, go to like all these B&Qs and shit.
Yeah.
Just racking paint, racking. And then we'd just plop the paint up and we're like, yeah, I'll meet you tonight. Going yards was different because yards took a while to really lock down in the way that happens a couple years later. Like Farringdon, there was a couple of people that knew that secret entrance, and it was basically walking down a dead tunnel, and there was a really little hole in the wall that you had to squeeze through, and once you got in there, that was it. You was in this place that, you know, was like a fantasy place, you know. It was like a really massive, it was what fabric is to this day.
But all yours.
But the whole thing without any floors. And the only bit that did have floors was where they used to rack all the meat, and it was all made out of wood, and it was very close and tight, full of cobwebs. And that bit was like the Indiana Jones part, where it was full of cobwebs. And the only way you would know the way to go was where the cobwebs were broken. Where the cobwebs, you flash a light and it was just like cobwebs like that, you couldn't go that way, and you wouldn't want to anyway, because...
Jesus Christ.
So it was a labyrinth that you had to go through, and just go through each of the kind of wooden chambers. And I would always kind of be like, at the end, because I wouldn't even want any of that shit to touch me.
No, I'd been fucking petrified, me.
But yeah, we did that. And
fuck that.
And that secret lasted a long time. And
Be right back.
Come on, ma, please.
Syringes, water fighting. We love food for just to hit plenty. Oh, look, now, watch them on them brain now. 30 to follow.
Killa Kela Fortified featuring Patois. Available on all good music platforms now.
Here we go again.
How many people knew at that time? You know, when you first...
When I first went there was probably less than 5 people. I think there was about 2 people or 3 people that knew before me.
You guys must have been like, we've struck gold.
And then once we found that, and then we had the door to the Little Mets, that was it. We literally owned what fabric is now. That was basically...
Wow.
That was basically our house, you know. Like, I had a place where I slept. We had a cupboard. I had all my belt-ons, all my auto-K, everything. I had a shelf of paint.
This is incredible.
You know, and it was rank. You know, like it was basically, like this kind of. It's just where they used to hang meat. So like you would go.
Was there blood on the floor and shit like that?
Yeah. It was like, but it was like 50 years old, the blood. So you'd like go around and you'd like. It's the type of place that, you know, if you was into like, if you was just scared of horror movies, it wouldn't really be for you.
But
obviously you're there, and then you're there with like someone like Fuel or Prime, and you can't obviously start thinking about horror films. You know what I mean? You just be like, I'm gonna do a burner with these guys.
There's nothing like the fresh smell of iron and aerosol in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. I had to honk in there, G. You must have had these moments of like, what am I doing here?
No. There was times where I was just thinking, fuck, man, this was like, if I start like letting my mind take over and start thinking about. Oh, when you watch on those horror films and you see, what stupid idiot would just be there now? And then it's just like, it's me.
But I think there is an overall agenda. There's a different mission. You know, it's not like you're trying to find ghosts. You know what I mean? It's like you're there to, you know what I mean? You're there to do
Yeah. I mean, other than painting, there would be no reason to be down there. It's like, it's not a nice place.
This to me feels like the only place that this has been documented. I don't know anyone else that talks about this stuff. Them people on this podcast. It's insane. Is there any documentation of it? Ever.
Do you know what? We took so many people down there, but because the main thing was this door that we opened, and then it was just like kind of paradise. That bit was kind of like, it's really strange. Like now, people would be all over it, taking photos of every single like angle.
Yeah.
But that was the bit that we were there for hours and hours, chilling in that bit, just waiting for the right time to open that door. You know, and yeah, there's a few people. I know Prime one time came with a video camera, and I don't know what happened to that tape because I haven't even seen footage of it, and I didn't even get pictures of it. But me and Prime did a top to bottom whole car, and it said primary teacher with Bart in the middle, Bart Simpson in the middle. Writing on a blackboard, I must not bomb trains. I must not bomb trains.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, and
oh my God.
Yeah, and I'd love to see that. I mean, I was still probably not 100% confident in my pieces and stuff, but
that's a glory time, man.
It was,
and whole type Prime as well.
And PIC was there as well. PIC did a top to bottom, a nice top to bottom, and I think because it was like. It basically came out of the yard and it was dark in the morning, and it just went straight, didn't even stop. Usually it stops and you can get on it and ride it to Hammersmith. Yeah. Pulled in and just never, it just took off. It didn't even stop. And so PRC managed to get a picture of his top to bottom. Yeah. And then R1 just went past us, and then that was it. Never saw it again.
Damn, gutted.
Yeah.
Gutted.
Yeah.
Big up Prime as well. Jesus. How many... So, I mean, obviously there was Rate, Fuel, right?
Yeah.
Prime. So, was this the early stages of you formulating, like, because you were part...
DDS was already established at that time.
Was it already established?
There was already hardcore members in the crew, you know.
Give me names. Who were the hard...
There was Subshoe, you know. There was Stacks, Diet, Form 72. Yeah. You know, and then there was some older lot like Bus One and but then there was like Ray and Pace was around. Pace is someone that, you know, probably no one knows of anymore, but yeah, those were the early kind of you know, the exciting time, you know, when it went from like kind of blitzing everything. It was like track sides, insides, and then it just started to be like, you know, fronts, backs, panels, top to bottoms, everything.
Zom cites you as being like extremely motivational and like almost incredibly ambitious when you were in the beginning. I mean, I know that hasn't changed a lot, but he does cite you as being quite an influencing force within the crew at that time. What was your take on that? When I say your take?
Yeah, well, I think that probably just came down to that most of everything kind of was... Everyone linked up at mine. And so then it was just like, what are we doing? It's like, yeah, we're going to do G. Yeah, but we did it yesterday. We're doing it again. Mm-hmm. And it was one of them ones where it was like, it's like a double bluff. Yeah, but it's like, all right then. Yeah, and then we go there and it's safe. Yeah, you know? It doesn't mean if you leave it for a week or 2 weeks, it's like, you know, it's safe, you know? Yeah. Sometimes it's like, if you get bagged, go out the next day and go again, you know? Prove yourself.
Was there a lot of proving in your mind? That was a real kind of... It was, like you said, it's self-challenging, but there was a little proving to yourself and the collective? The competitive edge of that, like making you guys...
No, even though it might appear like that, I think we were just... What we did and how we did it, it was very kind of just being ourselves. Yeah. It wasn't like us like watching Star Wars and thinking we're Cap, you know?
Yeah, get you.
Or like, you know, we just made the opportunities. On top of making the opportunities and being around constantly, riding the lines, racking and checking, oh, there's a train laid up. You see, all of these things actually made this energy around us all that kind of protected us.
Yeah, that's fire. Yeah,
you
that's
know?
wicked, yeah.
And that's the thing that's like, I remember when that was happening in like 93, 94, 95, 96, that mad energy around us. It was unstoppable.
Unstoppable, bro.
You know, some of us will get like caught, pinched and all of that, but as soon as they come out, it's like back in, and there was just this glow around us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
was,
it's like an organism, wasn't
Yeah.
it? It's like, that's the way it kind of felt, and that was just from the outside looking in. It was almost like this energy. It was
Yeah.
an energy, and it wasn't one. It was a lot.
Yeah. It was all of us together that created that, and it was a good thing. It's something that I haven't kind of I haven't felt that type of thing that we had. You know?
Is that youthful wisdom? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, also it's like, you know, like kind of growing up and realizing that you can actually do your own thing in life without having to do what everyone else says that you should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, like regular things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like creating your own freedom. It's a powerful thing.
100%. But that
You know?
that does come with age, doesn't it? I think?
Yeah.
Right, I've got a question for you. So, and it's something I haven't asked the boys. So what's the initiation process? Because, like, let's remember, like, after the back of all of what we're talking about here, we then had, like, Fume, Zonk, Koza, Take, and then Mood, and all this, you know, some of the legends, you know, they carried on, like you say, the organism kept on growing.
Yeah.
What's the initiation to that? Like, what, do they just ask to be in a crew? Or was there a lot of proving and someone had to kind of make the kind of call?
You know, like, when I got put in the crew, which I remember, you know, I remember really well. I was on the train, and I was with Sub, and we were sitting there, and he just said, "All right, Teach, that's it. You can start putting up DDS, and you know what? You can put whoever you want in the crew, yeah, but don't use someone. Don't, you know, put someone in that's, you know, put someone in proper." And when he said that to me, I knew what he meant because I'd been in other crews. And all the other crews I've been in, once you're in a crew, the next person can just put someone in it and all that. But it's just like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like, Sub didn't give that to many people. When he put people in, he didn't tell them, "Oh, you can put whoever you want." It wasn't a crew like that. It was like, he didn't want it, it had to be strong. Everyone had to play a role.
Yeah.
And so, I was pretty tight in letting people in. I started to think about who I was going to let in, and I'd watch it for a while, and then I'll tell Sub, I'm thinking of putting him in.
So Sub was the main
Sue.
geezer. He was like
Sub and Shu were the, you know, were the main people.
Who did you put in?
Huh?
Who did
I put in?
Yeah.
Well, when I got put in DDS, I don't know, maybe this is like probably a bit too private, and I shouldn't talk about it. But yeah, I put in like near enough everyone after me. I had some involvement in that.
That's amazing.
But then, having said that, there's probably about, I don't know, more than 20 people that are definitely not in DDS, but put it up. And they put it up just because, you know, I don't even know. No one even put them in it. They just thought because they're hanging around with us, they can put it up. But there's loads of people.
Yeah, I would imagine there was a lot.
There's a lot of people that are not in it, and they still put it up today.
I don't know how I'd feel about that. I mean, even when I was in Rocksteady, I was like, I had to go to the main source. You can't just like presume, can you?
Yeah.
That's like.
I mean, another thing I have is if you do ask, it sounds a bit horrible, but I'm just never gonna. I think with Graff, it's not something that you could get schooled from day one.
Yeah.
But if you ask to be in a crew, I don't know, I feel something weird about it.
This episode continues over on your favourite podcast platform. Don't forget to subscribe to us.